Welcome to Xandri's Martial Arts Powerful Character Word for April 2010. 5 surefire ways to guarantee your child will have A+ manners. So, what do parents want? Well, we all want the best for our kids. You know, as a parent myself, I want the best for my child. I want her to be happy. I want her to be healthy and have all her dreams become reality. As a martial arts school owner, I also want that for all of our students. Of the many things we teach at Xandri's Martial Arts, the character skill for this coming month is just one of my very favorites. It's one of the foundational skills that's just so important in life. Manners. The simple ability to say things like thank you, please, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's oftentimes sadly lacking in our society today. This skill requires and builds upon many other character skills. Empathy, the ability to put oneself in other people's shoes, needs to exist in order to nurture manners. People must learn the character traits self-control and respect to build manners. So how many times per day do you find yourself thinking about someone, how rude? Lack of manners seems to be becoming the norm these days. We live in a technological and fast-paced world where we're becoming increasingly disconnected, pardon the pun, from the very society in which we live. Face-to-face contact is becoming a thing of the past as text messaging becomes our basic mechanism of communication. We have to be especially careful to teach these fundamentally human character traits so as literally not to evolve or devolve into some kind of mechanical, information-aged, artificial life form. Man, I think I'm starting to sound like my parents. So here are 5 surefire ways to teach your child to develop those old-fashioned manners. They never really go out of style, do they? Just out of practice. So step number 1, we want to set a communication standard. This is simply how you expect your child to address people. At the martial arts school, we have a built-in method for teaching manners. It all begins with our communication standard. All students immediately understand how they're to address instructors by Mr. or Mrs. last name. They also answer all questions by saying yes or no, sir or ma'am. At home, how do your children speak to you? How do they speak to your friends, to relatives, to strangers? Try having them address all people by last name and explain why this is good manners. Number 2, phone script. Create a phone script. Allow your child to answer the phone. Kids love to be able to do this. It makes them feel like a grown-up. I just loved doing it when I was a kid. Plot out a script of what they're going to say. Here's an example. Hello, this is Hannah. Who may I say is calling, please? Okay, what happens next could be, my parents are currently busy. May I take a number where they can call you back? Or maybe, please hold while I get my parents. You have to role play this and make sure that they have it down before you let them get started with it. Learning by doing is much more powerful than just being told to do it. Number 3, manners log. This is a log where each day everyone in the family writes down what they did to show good manners during the day. We call ours the Random Act of Manners list. It turns into a fun game the entire family participates in. Set a goal and turn it into a contest for getting to a certain amount of good manners logged in for the end of the week or the end of the month. If the goal gets hit, maybe the family does a movie night or goes to the kids' favorite restaurant. Kids love challenges. There doesn't even need to be a prize. Just the idea that there's a goal to hit will have your kids looking for opportunities to show good manners. Number 4, do stuff together. The more time we spend with our kids, the bigger influence we'll have on them. Look for things they do that show good manners and point it out to them. Be a good finder and help them to be one too. When they do something showing bad manners, ask them how they can show better manners. As we teach this in our martial arts school through our character education program, Powerful Words, we explain, expect, but don't lecture. We explain our expectations and then allow them to rise to the occasion. And number 5, be the change in the world that you want to see. Now, this is the hardest part by all means. This simply means that we have to, as parents, walk the walk. Children most certainly learn more from our actions than they do by our words. We must be the example to our children. If our behavior is incongruent with the desired behavior, any lesson we teach is undermined. We can't teach kids to do as we say, not as I do. They will build norms and values based exactly on what they see us do and do not. We constantly must be mindful about everything we say and do in front of kids. Now, if I scream at a telemarketer and hang up on them, what lesson did I just teach my daughter? If I become irate when someone cuts me off on the highway and yell obscenities at the other driver, what will my child learn from that? We have to practice what we preach. Now, during the month of April 2010, our 4-week lesson plan. Each week, as you are familiar with, we take the character word for the month and just break it down a little bit differently. So here's what our lesson plan looks like for the month of April. Week 1, we're going to teach the kids and talk to the kids about saying please, thank you, you're welcome, and having nice table manners. Week 2, as we dig in, we're going to get into polite interruptions, something very, very important because sometimes, kids don't know when it's time to interject into a conversation. We're going to talk about apologies, criticism, compliments, and insults. Week number 3, we're going to get into polite phone manners and polite introductions. And finally, in week 4, we're going to get into saying thank you and showing gratitude to those who help us the most. Hope you enjoyed this video, and definitely tune in next month. We have another great word coming up, and we'll talk to you about that. But right now, I want to follow my own rules here and say thank you for watching this video.